Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Musclements. Musclements is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am John Anderson. With me, always, my co-hosts and partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We have got a massive show for you today, a big show, a Big Z show. That's right. Big Z is here with us today. This guy is, you cannot argue, he's the best of all time, and he's still with us. He's a living legend. He's got more victories in the sport than most people can count. And he's one of these guys that started winning and never stopped. He's got 8 Arnold Classic victories. And again, we are just so happy to have him on the show today. Žydrūnas Savickas, welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for coming on the show. I know you're a busy guy, especially with some of the new ventures you have now in your life. But first thing we'd like to talk to you about is talk to us a little bit about what's going on over there. You're very close to this big, I guess you call it war. I hate to use the word, but it's the truth, between Russia and Ukraine. What's the kind of talk to us a little bit about this, the state of your country right now? How are people feeling?
Yes, for sure. We are very close, and with Ukraine, we have a long history. We had a history with one country a few hundred years ago, and for sure, we are close to Russia, and a lot of people in Lithuania is scary. And when people coming from Ukraine, we have already thousands of people from Ukraine. We help support Ukraine. So really, people in Lithuania now is united, and we're looking forward to support Ukraine, and hopefully the war will stop with Ukrainian victory one day.
Yeah. So I know in Poland, they said there's like 2.5 million Ukrainian refugees. How many do you think have come into your country?
This moment in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius, between 20,000-30,000 refugees from Ukraine. So it's not a lot as in Ukraine, in Poland, but lot of Ukrainians coming, and most is kids and women. So they need schools, they need Ukrainian schools. So it's a lot of things to do with this situation.
So your country, as these refugees come in, your country is basically helping them, housing them, giving them food, helping them survive. Yeah.
Yes, people giving houses, apartments. The government support also. It's some programs to get a job and to get some payment from the government. So people helping with clothes, with food. So think it will be okay for them to stay in Lithuania. But for sure, everybody wants to stop the war, and
yes,
these people want to go back home as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful to hear. It's great to hear that your country is giving lots of support to the Ukrainians that need help, because it's very sad. And that's my hat's off to you, brother. That's very cool for you and all of your countrymen. So
very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it Are you guys worried about like they said there was a bomb that went off or a missile that hit like 2 miles from the border of Poland? Has there been any attacks close to the border of your country?
Lithuania is not so close to Ukraine. We don't have border with Ukraine. Poland is have border with Ukraine, so it was really close to the Poland, and also they had a Russian drone. This was flying to Croatia, and this was really a terrible situation. And hopefully they're not something flying to Lithuania from Russia.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, brother. We appreciate it. Now let's segue into some stuff to talk about that's fun. How's that? So you are literally one of the most widely known strongmen. You're the best of all time. Let's go back. Talk to us about the beginning. I know you started training strongmen when you were very young. Help us understand. I know our listeners would love to hear about the young Žydrūnas Savickas. So talk to us about the early days, when you started to train, when you started to focus on strongman, things like that.
I first time went to the gym when I was 13 years old. I started train to build some muscles and get stronger. But in that summer, after I trained 2-3 months before the summer, I saw strongman competition in my hometown, and it was really interesting for me. And I said for my coach, I would like to compete next year in strongman competition. But I was very young, and it was only the open class, no junior.
Oh, really?
Like
that. so you were 13. You were 13 competing in the open class. Is that right?
I not competed that time, but I was. I said for myself that I want to compete next year, and after 2 years, when I was 16 years old, I
16.
competed. Yeah, 16 years old. It was
Wow.
my first contest. And the most interesting thing that all athletes was like 25, 30, 35 years. I was like a kid. My body weight.
You were a kid at 16.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
And I have a big stress before that competition because it was my first competition. And I almost not sleep like 30 days.
Wow. Nervous.
And my goal was for first competition to win that competition.
Wow.
Not just try strongman, not climb podium, but only one place was good for me is first place.
And how did you win? Did you win your first contest?
No, it's impossible.
I was gonna say it's been like this from the beginning. You just started winning and never stopped.
My goals always was maximum, and I got I think 12th place. It was like 25 athletes, so it's in the middle for first competition. Not bad. And in one event, I got second place, so it was good for me. I for sure not made my plans to win first place, but I was happy, and it was good motivation for me to train for the next year to get better.
So if you had tried bodybuilding, you probably would have won.
Probably. And that time my body weight was 100 kilograms, so it was
my gosh,
not very big. I actually
For
after
16,
For 16,
for
yeah, that's
16,
not bad.
220,
yeah,
100 kilos.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at 16.
Yeah.
it's when I finished school. I was 18 years old. My body weight was 135 kilograms.
Wow.
I
Oh
was pretty
wow.
big.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bulked
Yeah, I
up quite
didn't,
a bit, right?
Yeah.
man, I didn't
So
even
you
get to
basically
135
started.
kilograms till 2006.
Yeah.
Against the world, I was
so
135
so
kilos that year.
so you graduate of high school. You're almost 300 pounds. Well, you're basically 300 pounds. You're 18. Then talk to us at what happened there. Did you just continue to compete? I know you had a big injury somewhere in the early days as well.
Yes, I continued to compete in the competition, trained, and first big victory for me was 1998 when I won Lithuanian Strongest Man competition. Same time I competed powerlifting and strongman for 10 years. Most summertime is strongman competition and winter time is more concentrate on powerlifting. This way was good for me to build strength and also prepare for strongman competition in summertime. And when I won Lithuanian Strongest Man 1998, I got a ticket to the World Strongest Man 1998. Actually, the ticket was given for me 1 month before competition because
Oh
the
wow.
guy, because another Lithuanian guy was qualified for World Strongest Man earlier, and he had this sport, but he got biceps injury, and the Strongman Federation asked me maybe I want to replace him. So I was almost not prepared for first World Strongest Man. I was trained for World Junior Powerlifting Championship, and it was
Oh.
and it was for me big decision to go and win World Junior Powerlifting Championship or go to World Strongest Man just to try compete because it was only 1 month. It's no time for preparation. But I choose that World Strongest Man is for me is future, and I want to try this competition. And first event, I won. It was a medley, so I was really happy. But second event was Atlas Stones, and I first time saw Stones 1998 World Strongest Man.
Oh, God.
Was
My
this the
first,
year where it fell on your stomach?
yes, it was my first
Oh.
first first meet with Stones.
Uh,
So you never trained with Stones before you went to the competition?
No, we don't
Wow.
had this
Wow.
event in Lithuania.
yeah.
Wow.
I never used this event. I never used Taki, so it was everything very new for me.
Very new.
John, can you imagine, like, going through a competition and never doing it that sort of stuff before, and actually what's going through your mind? How would you
Oh
approach it?
yeah.
How did you approach it?
I mean, I actually had the same thing happen to me a lot of times. Of course, my first time wasn't at World Strongest Man, but a lot of times when you're coming into the sports, there's events you've never touched before, and so you're just literally doing the best you can. As to where Zydrunas, one of those stones, I think it was like an over 300-pound stone. He actually got a little tripped up, fell backwards, and it landed on his chest. Which, how did that feel, by the way, Zydrunas?
It feels not so bad. It looks
Not so bad.
That's good.
the view from the side was worse than, and the all weight of the stone was mostly on my quad. So I not chest, not stomach, and also on my hip. I was half my body was blue 1 month.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
and it was difficult to walk.
Yeah.
But next event was Hercules hold, so it was no problem. And the last event was tire flip. Tire flip was my favorite event, but I couldn't finish that because it
Yeah,
was
must have been
so
very,
painful.
very,
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
so
So-
that
And you've
was,
only been back about 20 more times.
Yeah. So talk to us about, you had, I believe it was a double knee injury. Was it double patella? Was it? You had a double
Yes.
knee injury?
yeah.
Talk to us about that, because that's a big injury to come back from. And that was early in your career. I mean, you came back and just ruled the strongman world for a long time after this big injury. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. Also, I will talk a little bit previously what was happened before that injury.
Yes, please.
My first competition, 1998, in World's Strongest Man, was not successful. And then I was really trained and preparing for 1999, but nobody invited me for this World's Strongest Man. And the next time I got invitation 2000, and I competed, but in my group was Phil Pfister, Mariusz Pudzianowski, and myself. And I lost competition again in the stones because it was raining. Everybody lifted before me. It was no rain, and when I started, it was raining.
Oh,
Wow.
I still don't train at stones 2000 years, so and I lost. But then I prepared for 2001, World's Strongest Man. I got invitation. I was really good shape. And last competition was in Faroe Island, 2 months before World's Strongest Man. And I was leading in competition against World's Strongest Man, Janne Virtanen. And in one of the last events in Conan Circle, I slipped and I injured both patellas. So it was really bad injury and very bad time, just 2 months before World's Strongest Man, where I was ready to win. I was really strong that time. I was leading against Janne Virtanen, so I was really waiting this World's Strongest Man, but I was lying on the floor and thought that it's my career finished. But I got surgery in Faroe Island and I got back after 1 year in Malaysia, 2002, and I won second place. So it was, I lost some years for this injury, but after that injury, I got same shape like 2 years later. After 2 years.
So it takes a while to recover from that. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Because JF just injured both of his. So it's probably going to be a couple of years before we see him.
First competition for me was 9 months after. I won Lithuanian powerlifting championship, but my total was 200 kilograms less than I had. So to get back fully for me, I say it was 3 years. 3 years when I forgot everything, and for sure this time is a lot of things to get faster recovery. But when I was running with yoke or farmers, I feel like my knees is not stable. So it was really, I can't compete like 100%. So I always was thinking, no injury, no injury.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. So you're basically winning almost every strongman event you show up to, but you're thinking that your knees are unstable. Is that right?
Yeah.
So all the years when you completely dominated, you were not 100%. Most people don't know that.
I won first Arnold Classic 20,000, 2003.
Mhm.
It was 17 months after injury, so it was not really
Wow.
long.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you when you had the injury?
It was 26 years.
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
So you actually it took a full 2 full years to get recovered, but you were still winning during the recovery period. So once you got to 100%, that's when you just at that point you're able to compete and not worry about the injury. And that's when you really started to get, I mean, you had a period of domination where nobody could touch you. You're so much better than everybody else. Did that come once you felt like you were totally healed from your injury?
Yeah, I feel totally healed from 2004, and 2005 was my one of the best year. I won all 17 competition where I competed. So all competitions.
That's crazy.
I,
That's insane. That's insane.
it's including IFTA World Championship, Europe Championship, Arnold Classic, and Super Series, and many different competitions.
I'm curious as to your motivation back then after coming back from the injury. What motivated you to like push harder and like try to be the best again? Because most people get an injury and sometimes they give up. Especially if something
Yeah.
like career threatening like that.
Few days after surgery,
Mhm.
I say I lost motivation because
Yeah.
I was not sure that I can get back.
Yeah.
And only one dream was to just to do strongman, and if it will be okay, just continue career. But I don't have that time goal to be the world's strongest man. But
Yeah.
after, in first competition,
Mhm.
I won 6th place.
Mhm.
And the second, I won 3rd place. And
Okay.
then I start to believe that I
Yes.
can win again. So and
Yeah.
then I get good motivation to show that I was really strong to win 2001. I was ready to win, and I
Yeah.
need to back and show that I am strong. So, and when I won first Arnold Classic,
Mhm.
every competition after that, my goal was first place, and I even it's small competition or it's world strongest man, for me always was very important to win first place.
So your goal was
So-
just basically winning.
Yes.
Motivation
Yeah.
was
So-
winning.
Yeah, I have a question. So, like at Masters this year, when you won that, I was talking to you, and you had got good points in the events leading in, and then like second place in the log because Dimitar just hit it out of the water. You said you had a plan. So, what was your plan going into that? Because I'm assuming everything you do is set up very regimented and you really plan things out. I don't think people realize just how unbelievably smart you are as well. So, what was your thought process and what was the plan going into Masters and some of these other competitions on how you would attack it and find your way to get the maximum amount of points to win?
Great question.
Yeah. I always was thinking before competition in which event I need to win, in which event I need to get in top 3, and if I have some bad event for me, what at least lowest place I can get to not lose the points for the victory. And sometimes I save a little bit energy for the another events. Also, I always look and think what my colleagues will lift, even if I go
Yeah.
first. And I think, okay, this guy can lift 8 reps, so I need to lift 9 reps, and I will be sure that I will win. And mostly I was right. So maybe
Oh yeah, I'd say.
the one I lost only one time and Fortissimus, when Derek Poundstone lift 4th stone, I was my plan was to lift 3 stones fastest time, and I was sure that Derek will not lift 3 stones as fast as me. And he lifted that 4th stone. He was not so fast in 3 stones, but he lifted this 4. So it was one time when I make mistake for me competition.
Your ability to evaluate the competition like that and actually hit it on. That's not an ability a lot of guys have. That's pretty amazing because, yeah, you're actually probably one of the best at that. It's kind of amazing. It's neat to see your approach like that.
He a lot of strategy.
It was more of a statement than a question. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly. Zydrunas when he was. I mean, he'd competed so much. He was winning so much. He understood what other people could do, and he just went out there and did one more. It was just a simple formula for a guy that was so dominant. It was. It was crazy because I remember exactly what he's talking about. Where any overhead event, everybody else would be on their second, maybe their third attempt, and he'd be coming in with his first, and he would win on his second attempt and not have to waste the energy with the third attempt. It was just, it was simple math.
I can remember also the Arnold Classic, first Arnold Classic. My plan was to win 2003 Arnold Classic, and I look on the results 2002, and Apollo Axel result was 3 reps. So I made goal in training to lift 4 reps, and I saw that 4 reps will be enough to win, and I was right. I won with 4 reps, and for the next year, I make plan to lift 5 reps, and I lifted 5 reps, and for the next year, I lift 6 reps, and for the year later, the plan was 7, but I was feel really great, and I lift 8 reps.
I remember that. I remember you were because you were the only man in history to put that many reps on it, and then you end up doing one more than the year before, plus a bonus rep, and the place just exploded. It was so exciting.
You know what's funny? I think I was actually in the audience for that competition. Yeah,
I mean, if you were anywhere in that Arnold Expo, it sounded like a bomb went off. Everybody just freaked out. It was so exciting. Speaking of the Arnolds, those are always the heaviest competition. Which of the Arnolds was the hardest on you in terms of some of that stuff was so heavy? Which events were the most brutal on you physically?
I think the most brutal event was heavy super yoke, because it's really heavy when you lift it and start to walk, so you feel that you can go through the floor. I think it's heaviest one for body. And actually I remember when I first year competed in that event. In training, I lifted this 700 kilograms and can walk 1 meter. So next training, 1 meter, 20 centimeters, and before competition, actually, I know they finished this. I think it was 4 meters distance. I couldn't finish, but in competition, I lift easy and run. And run, I think in 3 or 4 seconds was really fast.
And other guys were only getting a few steps, and you just picked it up and just ran down the way with it. That was pretty amazing. That was like one of the most amazing feats of strength that, for you to be able to do what you did when other guys could barely pick it up was pretty amazing.
That year,
that thing was nasty.
Strong squat. I squatted 442 reps in training, no suit, so it was really strong.
Wow.
That year, strong squat.
Wow, you said 442 with no suit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for
let's real quick. Let's convert that to pounds for people. What is that in pounds, Zydrunas? That's got to be what?
970.
It's
970.
yeah, approximately.
Right, just a little under 1,000 pounds. No suit for a double. Now that's pure power right there. Amazing.
Yeah, that's
so
strong as heck.
How many competitions to date have you done? What's the total number of competitions?
I still working on the number, but approximately at this moment is 400 competitions.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And first places approximately 300.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
my God. Winning
That's
70,
impressive.
winning 75% of the time at the highest level. I mean, that right there, that is a perfect little, that displays the dominance that we're talking about,
Well, that leads me
at
to
the
another
highest
question
level.
too.
Yeah, go ahead. This is awesome.
Go ahead, John.
So that leads me to another question. Now, you have one guy over here who is only going to train for the biggest shows every year, and then you have you over here who's doing all these competitions during the year. Was that your way of getting training in while competing and still getting that in? What was your philosophy behind that? Because some of the guys like only to do the big shows and save it all for those, and you like doing the other ones. So can you explain the difference in philosophy between those two big trains of thought?
Yeah. My strategy and philosophy was preparing 4 months for Arnold Classic, training and not competing. It's have a show and I get good shape, and then I continue compete all rest of the year in all competitions which I decided to compete. And before it was like in March it's Arnold Classic, and September was World's Strongest Man. So it was perfect time to training from the Arnold Classic. You get raw power, and for the rest of the competitions you need more speed and event training. So the competition was really good training for me. And I stopped before World's Strongest Man like 6 weeks before, and I then prepared for that events, and then I competed in World's Strongest Man. But one year I decided that I will compete until the last weekend of the before World's Strongest Man. I decided that I'm not so strong at this moment, and that very bad events for me in the World's Strongest Man. It was 2012, and then I won that World's Strongest Man.
Yeah,
because
I remember.
Because this strategy was also good because I had really good stamina. I was very good healthy. My blood pressure was 70 and 110. So I was really
That's
fit
very good.
that year.
I think hey Big Z, I think when DJ Khaled wrote that song, All I Do Is Win, he probably was talking about you, man.
That's right.
So do you think getting ready for World's Strongest Man that way helps? Because you never know what the events are going to be. So everybody's training a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this leading into it. Because sometimes we don't even know what the events are until we get there. So you think that really helped a lot training that way, getting ready for it?
In that way, when we don't know events, it's helped a lot because you competed, it's experience, your body is ready for competitions, so it's good way. But if I know events, like I was new events before Arnold Classic, then I concentrate on that 4 5 events, and I working 3 4 months. It's also good strategy. So it's different ways, but it's both ways works good sometimes.
Yeah.
Or
Clearly the results show they were very good. So no, it's awesome stuff.
So here's a question, Big Z. So me personally, I consider you the best of all time. No argument. But what I want you to do is tell us what you think. Give us the top 5 strongmen of all time, including yourself.
So then it's 4. My,
So are you number 1?
I need to say 5 or by numbers.
so top 5, but by the number.
Okay, I think probably I can be number 1.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
The second place is Brian Shaw.
Okay.
Third place is Hafthor Bjornsson.
Wow. Okay.
And fourth place is Eddie Hall. If we look the not competition numbers, which he won, but about French.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the fifth is I think it's still open sport, but the Martin Litzis is coming to this sport.
And this is so that's is that what you say of all time, like all years, or is that more current?
It's more which I competed against.
Okay.
So
that's perfect.
Okay.
I like it.
Wow.
If it's I not included Bill Kazmaier and
Perfect.
all
So
the guys, because
now let's do all time. So let's go all years. Perfect. I love it. This is fun stuff.
Okay.
Well, that was actually really good. So,
Then will be
I agree.
myself, Brian Shaw, Bill Kazmaier, Eddie Hall, and Hafthor Bjornsson.
So Kazmaier joins the party. Interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really dominant at that period. Like myself also, it was like, when you compete in log lift, and second place lift 170 kilograms, and I lift 210. So it was like 30, 40 kilograms between first and second place. I feel really comfortable.
Brother, I remember that. I think it was we were in Amsterdam. It was a Grand Prix, and you were there, and the rest of us were joking about who's going to get second place in the log, and I ended up getting second place in the log, and you came in and did your first lift after I was out. So I did my third, got second place. You came in, did your first, which was really warm up, so then you could break a world record again. You remember that? It was it was somewhere. Yeah. It was it Holland? It was a Holland.
Yeah, it was Holland, and I think it was very first event was like track pull, I think.
Yes, and it was exactly.
My legs was pumped and was really hard to lift. My first attempt 170, but later I lifted the world record because after 30 minutes after track pull, my legs was recovered and I was ready for record. But first attempt was very, very heavy for me.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I mean, everybody else is that when you're at the contest, nobody even thinks about winning. Everybody thinks, who's going to get second or who's going to get third, because you were so far ahead of everybody else. It was crazy. It was like a whole different competition he was in. It was like we were kind of like it's almost like a Major League Baseball. We were all like AAA, and he was a big leaguer that got sent down to whip our asses for the day.
It's funny you said that. It's kind of like back in the days when guys competed with Ronnie Coleman. They would all show up and like, okay, who's taking second?
Yeah. It's very true, because he had the same type of dominance that Big Z had.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Big Z. How many years, what was the span where you were just completely dominant? I know it was close to a decade. Was it a whole decade that you were just so on top?
A little bit longer. I say my first big victory was 2003 Arnold Classic,
Yeah.
and the last big victory was 2017.
Wow.
It is a World GP final, Giants Live. So it was last really big show. So it was 14 years.
14 years. Holy shit. My apologies for not giving you enough credit, brother. I just know you dominated a whole long time, you know. So that's really, really amazing. So what advice would you give to a young strongman who wants to follow in your footsteps? What advice would you give to someone, say, who's 18, like you were young? What advice would you give to that young man?
Always make big goals. My goal from the first competition was to win first place. Always big goals. The big goals is help to motivate for everyday hard work. So it's, and also very big discipline, good food, good sleep, and also no rush. This sport needs time to get strong. So make a plan for like 10 years, not 1 year, but
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
lot of
Absolutely.
young guys try to get strong in very fast time and then get injuries. So it's don't make that mistake. So train every year, get little bit stronger than previous year, and will be a solid base to be strong for decades.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great advice.
question: what is your philosophy on setting world records? Because it seemed like for at least 5 years straight, or even longer, you broke a world record every time you did the log. So, or pretty much any overhead event for that matter. So, what's your philosophy about breaking records? Is it just keep breaking the record every time you go, or is it? I mean, so you didn't just put it out there when you clearly had the ability to. Can you please explain that?
The funniest and the sad thing that I never prepared for any world record in my life.
Oh my God.
You know, my, my my best years, it was no money for records. It was no special uh, events to make the world records,
Yeah.
and it was just happened. I just went to competition, competed. I feel great that day, and I said, "Oh, I will try today to lift new world record." So it was nothing special.
That's freaking awesome.
I
That's just the
actually,
best.
It just came
actually,
natural.
2015, I got injury in my neck in Arnold Classic, and
Hmm.
I was decided that after Arnold Classic 2015, I will start preparing for 3 months for World Log Lift Record. And it did not happen because I got injured. So I have only one time to plan to make really big result, but it did not happen. I never tried log lift when I was best shape, because best shape I always was at Arnold Classic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
So, real quick question: one name that you didn't talk about in your top five was Marius Pujanowski or Magnus Vermagnuson. Talk to us a little bit about those two.
Magnus Magnusson is really strong and is great person. And I competed against him also. I competed few times. First meet with him was 1996 in Lithuania GP. He
wow.
got third place. I got fifth place. So it was really close.
Wow.
But it's only 5 spots, so it's for sure Magnus Magnusson and Mariusz Pudzianowski can be in the top 5 also.
Yeah.
They're great guys, and Magnus Magnusson was also really smart. He was
Yeah.
planned competition, and he was background from powerlifting, so he's really strong in all events. So he's really was one of the person which inspired me also. And
Yeah.
when I competed when I was 20 years old against him, it was big time for me. And Mariusz, he was not so strong, but it was really difficult and hard to compete against him. He was really same like me. He always can lift more if he need to win. So
Uh,
this difficult to compete against him. Also,
Marius was one of the guys that I actually really gravitated towards because to me, being my background being bodybuilding, first time seeing Marius Pudzianowski, I actually thought like he had a similar physique to a bodybuilder. So he was one of the guys that actually like inspired me to try to like do some of the things that I did in my bodybuilding career.
yeah. Also Derek Poundstone, it can be
yeah.
also in top 5.
Yeah.
He was really strong in the best years. He's amazing guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we just actually had him on the show not too long ago. He was a lot of fun to have on the show. He was one of the when you won the Arnold Classic 8 times, that one of those years, I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong, Derek actually won the show when you were there, which is a rare occurrence. Is that correct?
Yes, I have 8 first places, 2 second place, and 2 third places. All time podium at the Arnold, and I think Derek won against me. Brian won against me. Probably just these 2 guys won against me,
Yeah.
and I won 6 years in a row, and then I decided to rest a little bit, and after that I came back and I got injured in the first competition. So I got second place, but I was injured. And when you lost this first place route, so it's harder to get back. So it's cost me a few years to win, but mostly I get some bigger or smaller injury before or in that competition. But for sure, that year Derek was really strong. He was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, obviously extremely strong, but not a huge guy in stature. What I think he weighed, what at his biggest, about 330 or something like that. Is that about right,
Yeah,
Nick?
yeah, 330. I think his
Yeah.
biggest was 330, 335. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your biggest, Big Z? How much? What was
Uh,
the most you ever weighed?
at the Arnold Classic, I always competed 400 pounds, but the biggest weight was I think 2013 in Holland Champion League stage. I weighted 420 pounds.
Wow.
Oh wow.
I was really big. I won that competition against Haftor, and I think week later was 2013 Europe Strongest Man, and that before I lost 20 pounds to get a little bit faster because it was some events for speed, farmers walk, 80 meters with 25 kilograms, and I lost this 20 pounds, and I think it was my best shape for strongman sport ever. Is 2013 Europe Strongest Man. I made I think 3 world records and a very different events like log lift max, keg, 8 kegs for speed, and I lift really good deadlift, heavy deadlift, and I won farmers yoke with the 80 meters running. So it was, I think, my best shape ever, that competition.
That's big and fast. That's big. I should say big, strong, and fast.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
tough combination to beat right there. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I know we only have you for about 10 more minutes because you're a busy guy. So I do have a couple more questions that I want to ask you, brother. So if you were able to go back in time, you today, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself and give yourself a piece of advice, where what part of your life, how old would you be, what would you, and what advice would you give yourself to the young you?
Almost to do very similar what I done now, but just train more hard and more concentrate on records, because I had phenomenal power, which I never try. Max deadlift my best years, and max log lift. So this was what I think. Only one thing what I want to change in my career.
Yeah.
Never,
I mean, you had
yeah. I
you had
said,
enough
okay.
power that you could have broken tons of records. You just was never your focus. I bet you, I know I didn't know that. I bet tons of people don't know that you weren't actually trying to break records. That's the amazing part about it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying, Big Z? Forgive me.
I forgot.
I was actually waiting for you to say that you would actually went back in time on your first World Strongest Man. You would try to figure out a way to learn the stone lift before you get into
The problem was not I can't train that stone because in Lithuania was no Atlas stone.
There's no stones.
There was no stones at all in Lithuania.
No stones at all that time.
Man.
Wow.
The first stones, 2 stones, I bought from Mariusz Pudzianowski's father.
Wow.
And I put the stones to my car after competition in Poland, and I started training stones. And next year, I won all the stones, and stones became one of my best events.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
a great story. That's a great story. So, what did you just put these in like the trunk of your car, or what did you have a truck? What was the?
Yeah, just in back seats.
Poor suspension of that car.
Well, but no, what I'm thinking is these stones are hard to pick up. How do you pick it up and put it in that little door?
Car. Yeah.
How do you get it inside the door?
The Mariusz Pudzianowski lifted and put the stones. So
Smart.
Yeah, that's right. It says it says if I'm going to pay for them, you got to put them in the car.
Oh, that's funny.
That's great, brother. That's great. So, as I said before, my opinion is you are the best strongman that's ever walked the planet. You're a legend. You're a living legend, and you're still going, which is amazing. At some point, obviously, you, as the physical sense of you, will pass on. What is it that you want to leave behind? What is the legacy of Žydrūnas Savickas?
Thank you for say that I'm strongest. It's very difficult to say. I think the main thing what I did, that I won the most competitions ever in strongman sport, and it's difficult to repeat because the level of the athletes it's going more close, and it's very difficult to dominate now because everybody is strong now,
Yeah.
and you make small mistake and you not win the competition.
Yeah.
At my time, I was ready to win with injuries. I won some competitions with injuries. First two Arnold Classics I won with injuries. One is calf muscle injury, and one with feet ligament injuries. So it was easy to win. Even I walk with one foot, but so this I think to win 300 competition, this is biggest thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, brother, I got to tell you, you know, it's I've always been a huge fan. I've always admired you.
Hmm.
I always was very happy when I got to compete in the same competition with you, and I think everybody in the sport looks at you as one of those people who has really helped the sport be what it is today. So I personally thank you for that, and I'm sure I know the sport in general does too. You're a class act of a person and the best strongman that ever lived. What else can you say? So,
Thank you,
you know,
thank you.
yeah. That being said, I know you're a busy guy. We gotta let you go here pretty quick. But Nick, Ock, do you have anything else for Big Z before we wrap it up?
No, man, it's been a pleasure, and I was really, really happy to hear that story about the Stones. I think that a lot of people can take away lessons from that.
I,
Good.
I just think you're not only are you probably you're unquestionably the best strongman to step on the stage ever. You're also a really good person, and you're fun to
Yes.
talk to. And it's amazing. People don't understand, like I said, how smart you are. You're in politics in
Yes.
Lithuania, and the things that you've done with that, and it's just amazing. And it's kind of neat that I not only do I get to know you and compete with you and against you, that you're trying to leave a good impression on the planet as well.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say thank you for that. It's always an honor and a pleasure to meet and hang out and train and compete against you. So and to watch the fire and desire. I remember back in 2007 in Korea, and not really Derek's talking about how he's gonna win the medley, and I'm like, dude, you're competing against Z, and he's right behind you. And I remember you turned around, you hit him, said, he goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna run right through this medley," and you just the look you had on your face that day when you looked at him and you picked up and you absolutely killed him on that medley. And I mean, it was a medley. That sack was it was like a massive like sack full of ginseng that was like 250 pounds. That was awkward. The farmers' implements were unreal, and a shield carry all in the same that IFSA shield carry all at the same time, and you won that medley. And it was just that desire that, oh yeah, watch this. The
Yeah.
things that I've seen you do are simply amazing, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And it's always a pleasure, and thank you. I'm going to shut up now.
Absolutely. Well, on that level, one of the topics we didn't talk about on purpose was your involvement in the politics, because we got to have you back on the show, Big Z. We can't just have you once; we got to have you twice. So I left some questions out of this show, so we have some fun stuff to talk about next time. So I hope you take us up on our invitation to come back down the road.
Okay, thank you. It was pleasure to talk with you, and people who want to read more my stories, it's my biography on Amazon, and you can read a lot of things which we not talk today.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And if there's tell everybody where they can find you. What are you doing right now so we can get, because obviously you're amazing and we want people to be able to come and check you out.
yeah, my Facebook and Instagram, Savickas Big Z, you can find easy. And I say, if you're interested to know about my background, about my childhood, through my story, Born Strong, at Amazon.
I love it. I
Right
love
on.
it. Well, there you have it, everyone. There is another edition of Legends of Iron. We had an amazing guest. If this episode doesn't inspire you to be the best version of yourself, I don't know what will. We thank you for listening and watching, everyone. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.